guess kind of a dual-purpose question. How does scrimmage look to you, and what are you looking for in this Saturday scrimmage?
Last scrimmage on Saturday. There's some guys that make some plays. I mean, it's one thing when you're going in all the drills and everything, and your thud. Guys are practicing stuff. There's a totally different tempo when coach cuts it loose and he says live. You know what I mean? And there's some guys who you just wanted to see if they knew how to operate. I thought Blyhill had a really good day, showed some really good things. I'm trying to think here. Up front, Kai Wallen had a good day. The usual guys, Cam Linhart. There's a lot of guys who made a lot of plays. But the one that was noticeable out there on the edge was some of the DBs. Like I said, Blyhill made a ton of plays. So, and then obviously this week coming up, you want to just see the guys be able to take a step and cut down on the MAs, make sure they understand how we want to play football. Again, you're always looking for somebody to break through. You know what I mean? Somebody that just knows what to do, knows how to do it, and then all of a sudden you give them a chance live, coaches off the field. That they go out there and make plays. So,
has Bly been building toward a scrimmage like that throughout the spring?
Yes. Again, not because there's so many guys that are improving, but he was just noticeable because he had 2-3 plays where it's just like, hey, it's you and the ball, you and the defender, you and the offensive guy, and he happened to make those plays. So it was good to see a guy like that who he worked the whole offseason with Coach Coop as all those guys did, but he does exactly what you ask. He really absorbs the information and applies it on the grass. You see him working on things. He's really deliberate in his practice, so it's good for him to show out like that.
You're replacing Luke and Nick at linebacker. I mean, how do you like how that's come together just with the group you have at linebacker without those two veterans?
Yeah, the without those two guys, I mean, you got guys like Mackay, you got Javen Buddha. Bullock has really been, and I said this before, that last year he was a safety, learned how to play linebacker, and this so far this spring he's really stepped it up. I mean, he is a linebacker, and he's now, I think you can see in the speed of how he's playing in practice, how comfortable he's starting to get, and he's just seeing things a little faster. He's a little bit more aggressive on the ball. And then you got those other guys starting to show up. I mean, Jacob Bauer's doing a really nice job. He's starting to flash and show. Gage Stenger, Steph Thompson. Now he's worked himself into shape. I mean, he knows the defense. So now he's starting to put things together in there. I mean, so you got a lot of guys who are starting to come up. I mean, but again, it's all about the build up to Saturday, right? Because Saturday is just like a game, and that's where you really get a chance to say, okay, this is who I am. How
do you evaluate when you look at your defense as a whole and you watch from those scrimmages, but you don't have Ty and Nash out there as such a huge part of what you do in the front? So do you take that into account and giving the front some leeway, knowing that your main guys aren't there?
No. I mean, we operate as is because football at any point in time, any one guy could not be out there. So it's the 11 guys on the field. You guys for that play when you take the field, you guys are the starters. So and it's cool as a play caller because you get a chance to see what those guys do well, what they need to work on, and be really deliberate with them in terms of, hey, this practice, I want you to do this. I know, like Jamari, for instance, T Knight has been working on with Jamari on some certain pass rush moves, and if you don't tell him anything, he wants to do one thing, but he's been really, really deliberate in working on things, So, and that's with kind of everybody. Everybody's has one thing that they're picking to really work on. So, it's fun to watch when you take those guys out there and other guys have to step up and play.
Is Riley Van Poppel somebody who's taken advantage of that opportunity of scrimmaging and not having Ty and Nash?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Riley, you got the Vincent Carroll Jackson in there. Sua is come on, and he's starting to show like, hey, he belongs. I mean, again, those guys. T-Knight does a great job of mixing those guys around from tackle to end, from first to second. Then the competition daily on the grading. The depth chart is never the same. You're always moving guys up, moving guys down based off of performance. So it's a good competition in there for guys to get better.
2 weeks ago, you talked about the high standards you have for this group, and to the point where you said had your staff kind of check you, like, are we good?
Yeah.
Did you get kind of more of an answer to that for yourself after this first scrimmage, or is it still too early to kind of answer that question for
No,
yourself?
you're never good enough. Now the really cool thing, okay, I'm gonna say this because I don't think he'll say it, that after the scrimmage when we came back and watched it, coach got on me because it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough, and so we went back and we looked, because this group of guys in the locker room, they do what you ask, man. These guys are blue collar. They make coaching fun. So I looked at it and we went back as defense staff and said, how can we do this? And so we tweaked some things on defense and explained to them, and I apologized to the guys. I said, hey guys, this is my fault. This is what we want to look like. This is what we want to do, and showed them. Actually showed them. And Tuesday they went out there and they ran around with their hair on fire, and I was like, wow. I think everybody's like, holy cow, what's going on? And then today, to start it off, they had the same attitude towards them. So I had to apologize to the guys. It was my fault. You know what I mean? And it was really fun to watch those guys, Jamari, Bullock, Giff. I mean, those guys, Keese, go out there with the little chip on their shoulder and fly around. So again, you're never good enough. You're always tweaking something. You're always trying to challenge somebody. You're always trying to make sure that guys are getting better and not. And when coach jumped us for that, it was a great thing. You know what I mean? So we were able to redefine some things.
What was his concern? What working?
We got to play hard. We want to have the habits. Okay, we want to create the habits of the best defense in the country, right? That's what we want to do. Okay, the best defense in the country, they have certain habits that they run to the ball, they're physical, they don't give a crap, and they play with ultimate confidence. And so that was the thing, making sure that those guys are confident. They're big, they're strong and fast. They, from what Corey, Mitch, and Kristen has been doing with them in off season, they know what to do. They've been sitting in meetings. Bro, go out there and play. Go out there and play. No hesitation, no fear. Go play, and then we'll correct it later. So I think that's the next step, is to make sure that every guy believes, man, they are monsters out there, that they can just go out and play fast and physical, and then we'll correct the stuff later. But just go out there and put it on tape and let's see.
You mentioned a lot of veterans and the guys that responded Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, for the response to be we've got to step it up and not they're probably talking about the younger guys. What does that say about the culture you guys have right now?
That's 100% those guys. Like I said, they do whatever is asked of them. Those, I can't talk enough about those guys. I mean, when I apologized to them and we showed them, they went out there and they did it. They started to do it. You know what I mean? So it was really neat for them to do it on Tuesday and then come out there today and have that same attitude. Now, again, it's just what coaching is, right? It's fixing things, is making adjustments, seeing why certain guys did something, but really working on the confidence, really working on when you step on that grass, you just let it go and go play. So.
How much position moves and experimenting have you been able to do this spring, trying guys out at some new spots? You were maybe an offensive guy. Have you been able to do much of that this spring?
There's been some of that. I mean, some of the big guys inside that from offensive line to defensive line. But it hasn't been as drastic as it was last year, because you don't know the guys and all, but now you got a sense of what they can and can't do, and then as we continue with this stuff, then guys are getting hurt, so now you're seeing, okay, well, maybe this guy can go over there and play corner and start experimenting with stuff like that, but we have been, but just not in the numbers that have been since last year.
Tony, is there anything in particular about this offense that challenges your group, the offense against your group?
Yeah, I mean, again, they number one is running the ball. I don't think the offense got enough credit for how well they ran the ball, because it reflected on us being able to play the run. You know what I mean? Number one, and then number two, with all three quarterbacks and Coach Thomas developing them and tweaking things on offense, you're having to defend so much more. You know what I mean? So that's going to definitely 100% get us ready for what we're going to see, especially with the new additions of the schools out west.
You mentioned Jamari. What have you seen of him just coming off of last year and maybe the confidence that he built up with that season and where he's taking that now?
Yeah, you said it. You said it exactly right. I mean, it's the confidence, right? That's the thing, because they're working on things. Anytime you can line up and then say today, hey, when I get a pass that I'm going to do this, and then they go out there and do it, and then you go back and watch it on film, that they were that deliberate in practice. That takes confidence. That takes confidence in your ability, and also confidence in the fact that you're like, hey, I'm not good at this. I need to work on this. You know what I mean? So he's a guy who you can see that he loves where he's at. He loves the guys who he's playing for and with, and the bond and the chemistry with T Knight and the guys on defense. I think it's just taking a guy like Jamari and giving him the ability and confidence to go out there and have a great season.
NFL draft is next week. Got some guys who could either be drafted or signed somewhere as undrafted free agents. Got 4 guys, maybe more. Just what have you told teams? What could you tell teams about those guys that NFL teams would take a chance on them?
Well, number one is their ability showed, right? When they went to pro day, you saw how explosive they are. You saw how fast they were, how high they jumped. So the ability was there. And then coming from here, especially the way the program is run, like you're going to get a guy who excels, right? You're going to get a blue collar guy who's tough, who's physical, who knows how to show up, who knows how to take notes, who is a professional, And so you look at those guys, Phelan, especially on defense, Luke, Q, those guys, like that's what they are, and that's what Nebraska's about. So I remember going through the process, my process the same way, and it's I wasn't as prepared as they were. I was not as prepared. So wish those guys well, and I know they're going to do a good job wherever they go.
You mentioned how Coach Rule can get after the assistants sometimes. I mean, is that unique in some of your stops, the extent he gets after you, and is that something you welcome?
Yeah, the great ones do, right? The great ones do. They're not satisfied, right? And they're always figuring out a way. And I said this when my first observations with Coach Rule, like, you're always looking, you're always finding ways to try to do something better, more efficient, give somebody more confidence to go out there and do it. Your position coaches, whatever it is, recruiting, the nutrition staff, the weight staff, whatever it may be, he's always looking, and he's always like trying to figure out a way to make things better. And you saw the tape on Saturday. And sure, there's some great individual performances, but as a whole, we talk about taking this next step. And I said this, like, everything is words until it's put in action, right? So you talk about taking the next step where it's not showing up on film. So then you have to go back, and it always starts with me on defense, right? And then going back and saying, how are we talking to the guys? Do they know? Do they see it? And then Coach Coop having great ideas, Coach Dvorak having great ideas, Coach T Knight having great ideas. Everybody in that D staff room coming together and saying, hey, this is maybe we need to do this, we need to do this, and it's like, damn, okay, let's do that. And the young men so far have responded 2 practices in. So, kudos to them, and we'll see what happens. We'll go up and watch the film, and then we'll see what happens on Saturday. Yeah, I don't see Matt here. He went to class, right? He did? Good. Keep student.
Student journal.